Welcome to another episode on our channel. This is going to be highly unusual. We're straying from the course, and I'm showing you some figures that I thought looked like people who I studied in my clinical program in clinical psychology. I have Sigmund Freud here, who's the father of psychoanalysis, all about making the unconscious conscious. Carl Jung, who was an associate of Freud, a contemporary of his, and Freud was actually grooming him to become a leader in psychoanalysis, to take his place in time. But they went down different paths in terms of ideologies and parted ways. Alfred Adler, who was a contemporary of Freud as well, was part of his group. Some group meetings in psychoanalysis, later left the group and took 8 of his colleagues with him. Karen Horney, who, again, these are all contemporaries. She actually was an individual who probably was the first humanist, truly, even though she was considered a psychoanalyst. She encouraged Maslow to publish his theory. So these folks are in one group, and then later in time we have B.F. Skinner, who is all about behaviorism. So psychoanalysis, behaviorism, and then credited with humanism is Carl Rogers, who talked about free will, and he talked about making the unconscious conscious, but he called it insight. A lot of these people borrowed from each other, from things like the archetypes that Carl Jung talked about, like the shadow, being somewhat familiar to the id and the id ego and superego. Lots of crossing of paths. In general, when we look at therapy today, I kind of think of 3 things. 1, making the unconscious conscious, creating insights, helping people connect the dots. So you listen and magnify to help them connect the dots. Then we're going to try to look at things slightly differently than our original interpretations of life experiences, because we do know that how we look at something is going to have an effect on how we respond to it. If we're able to look at it differently, then the chances increase that we're able to respond to it differently. And finally, if we're able to respond to it differently, we can actually create homework assignments that can lead us into some behavioral changes that will produce more productive outcomes. So we're changing the dances that we have with individuals that we walk with in life. Changing the dance can sometimes be traumatic, but hopefully you create the end outcomes that you truly want to achieve in life, which is better life outcomes. Sometimes we're not ready for those outcomes, but sometimes we are. So I got on my bandwagon there for a bit. My apologies, but that's the clinician coming out in me. This is one of my most favorite sets of people who have come before me to pave the road for psychology. Sigmund Freud. Carl Jung. Alfred Adler. Karen Horney. B.F. Skinner. Carl Rogers. Here's one final look at our figures. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've enjoyed the figures. If you have by chance, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, everyone, have a great day.